Okay, we're back negotiating with Jesus. I'm Tom. We're going to read in Mark 2. We're doing a quick look at this book, and it's a quick book. Mark is very dramatic, and it moves quickly, and it says immediately a lot. Immediately Jesus went here, immediately there. So very good, quick read of the Gospel. So I got to find where the camera is. I always look over here. I'm looking right here, and the camera's over there. So technical things that I'm trying to learn, whatever. So Jesus calls Levi and eats with sinners is this heading of this little tiny section. It's about 3 paragraphs. Once again, Jesus went out. So we're in Mark 2, verse 13. Once again, Jesus went out beside the lake. A large crowd came to him, and he began to teach them. As he walked along, he saw Levi, son of Alphaeus, sitting at the tax collector's booth. "Follow me," Jesus told him, and Levi got up and followed him. While Jesus was having dinner at Levi's house, many tax collectors and sinners were eating with him and his disciples, for there were many who followed him. When the teachers of the law, who were Pharisees, saw him eating with the sinners and tax collectors, they asked his disciples, "Why does he eat with tax collectors and sinners?" On hearing this, Jesus said to them, "It is not the healthy who need a doctor, but the sick. I have not come to call the righteous, but sinners." So this little section, Jesus starts framing his ministry. And Jesus is sometimes called the Good Shepherd, sometimes called the Great Physician. He's a healer, and he's a prophet, a priest, a king. He frames himself in this way that starts to put him at odds with people of power in this world. So we always are talking about, I say always, I'm trying to be careful with my speech, and it's not really working for me. I'm going to make big generalizations. So we are always living in two worlds. We're living in the world of spiritual truths, which might be the world of forms that Plato talked about, or this world where we think there's something that exists that we can't grasp, and it's Ecclesiastes wrestles with the idea of not being able to grasp what we really want in life. It's elusive, and truth and goodness, these things are elusive. So the Pharisees, who represent in some way the righteous, the good, the people who are really trying to live in the world, the ideals of the spiritual, the ideals that we can't grasp. And they seem to fall short, but they claim to not fall short. So Jesus sees and starts to put a wedge in between what they say they do and what they actually do. The Pharisees turn out to be putting a burden on people who can't bear the burden, a burden they themselves don't carry well. And Jesus in Matthew 11 uses that great phrase, "Come to me, you who are heavy burdened, heavy laden, I'll give you rest." So Jesus calls a tax collector, which, we all agree, oppressive taxation by government. It's this terrible sin. Those terrible people, tax collectors who seem to be taking your money because you have it. So that's an odd, distinction. If you have money, then we will take it. It's, taxation looks bewildering in some way. And tax collectors and sinners, we throw them in a big pile. So sinners, people who are failing to meet this standard. So it could be liars, it could be murderers, it could be cheaters on taxes, they're cheaters on spouses, trippers of children. If you like to trip children, you're going in the sinner pile. Kickers of kittens, any kind of thing that we find despicable. And it's really this line that we try and make distinct. And we all end up, as we draw lines, we find out that the lines really wrap around us. No matter where we put the lines, we find ourselves standing half in, at least, and sometimes surprisingly find ourselves completely in this circle that we draw that's supposed to exclude, the unworthy, and we find out that the unworthy circles each of us, that we all, there's nobody perfect. The idea that we're calling to righteousness, to perfection. So, the final statement, why does Jesus eat with tax collectors and sinners? We find Jesus saying that if somebody's going to cure the world, he needs to cure those who are really ill, who are really struggling with how do we behave in a world where the ideals are elusive, where equity is not available, where there are haves and have-nots. And what do we do about this? And Jesus he's going to do something that's planted in the world, but is bringing this spiritual truth into the world, and he lives it out in a way unlike any other. So that's Jesus in Mark 2, when he starts to mingle with sinners and separate himself from the righteous. It's going to be an ongoing task that Jesus is drawing near the lost, the lonely, the broken. And he wants to solve their big problem because they know they have a problem, and the righteous often don't know they have a problem. So Jesus is going where the need is clear. So, Negotiating with Jesus, I'm Tom. I would like you to watch videos. Tell me what I'm doing, what needs improving. Go ahead and comment. Hurt my feelings. I can take a little critique, and then I'll continue trying to go through the Gospel of Mark as quickly as I can. And I will talk to you again someday.